and welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're new around here, my name is Wendybrandes. I'm a jewelry designer who used to be a journalist. And if you've been here before, welcome back. And all of you, new or old, don't forget to click the subscribe button to subscribe to this YouTube channel. I've been introducing myself on a couple of videos now as a jewelry designer who used to be a journalist. And I keep thinking that's strange. It's why am I giving everyone my resume right away? I mean, this is how I'm introduced to people in person too. When they ask me what I do, that's what I say. But I am telling you, every time I just say I'm a jewelry designer, period, people ask me where I studied art. Every time. Like, even if I'm just doing it as a test, because I say it can't happen every time. It does happen every time. And I didn't study art. I studied English literature at Columbia University. And then I went into journalism for 11 years. I started at Dow Jones, which owned the Wall Street Journal. I moved to the Journal, the paper itself. I worked on the startup of the Wall Street Journal Interactive Edition, WSJ.com. I went from there to CNN and did business television. And then I got out of business news and was a managing editor of People Magazine's website. And that was a tumultuous time for online journalism, not as bad as now, where, you know, there's, in the journalism world, there are fewer jobs and people are getting paid less for it, but there was just a lot of debate over where it was going, if the internet was even useful. Can you imagine? When breaking news happened, they would try to hold it back for the magazine rather than getting an exclusive and getting it first through the website. So that was problematic, and the company was owned by Time Inc., and they sold Time Inc. to AOL. Some of you remember AOL and some of you don't. And I just knew it was time to get out of that whole scene. I couldn't be around. I had a bad feeling about AOL. They weren't doing much in the way of broadband, and you can't have this. It used to be, they used to send around those discs with the little running man on them, and it would do this squeaky thing when it dialed into your modem. It was terrible. So I left journalism then. That modem sound, I don't know, it was like grrr, ee, ee, ee. I don't know, something like that. You can look it up. It's still online. Like, you can make it your ringtone now. That's what you can do. So after I left People to go to another job, and I was just fed up with the environment, and I thought, oh, I'll go make a little more money, because journalists are notoriously well paid, not. And I went to a job running website content for an investment bank called Lehman Brothers, and I was there for 5 years and managed to leave 2 years before they went bankrupt. I had always known I was going to leave Lehman Brothers as soon as possible, but I had been planning to go back into journalism originally, and every time I started interviewing for jobs, and every time I'd interviewed in the past, you know, if I was going from the wire service to the newspaper and newspaper to TV, everyone would say to me in interviews, they would say, well, you've only done newspaper, how can you do television? Now you've only done television and newspaper, how can you do the magazine world? And as if I had no transferable skills, and that was very annoying. And when I started to interview while I was at Lehman Brothers, people were saying to me, well, you've been out of the business. At that time, it was just 2 years into it. You've been out of the business 2 years. How are you going to catch up? And I was always an editor. It's not like I had sources as a reporter that I had to keep in touch with. So I feel like as an editor, as someone who is working in editing at Lehman Brothers, I probably would have been able to do it just fine. I decided I was going to have to work for myself. But what was I going to do? Because at the time, it's funny, this was when I left Lehman, it was in 2005, and it was right before blogging really blew up. So I thought, well, I can't go be a journalist on my own, because it's not like someone can self-publish a magazine or a newspaper. So I missed that moment. I was a little too early at leaving this other gig. But I had designed my own engagement ring in 2001 and had since designed other jewelry with a woman in the diamond business who was related by marriage to one of my Lehman Brothers employees. one day I said to my diamond dealer friend, you know, can you make this little thing for me? I forget what it was. And she said, sure. And I said, if you make it, do you want to sell it together? And she said, okay. And that's how it started, that casually. And the timing of my departure from Lehman was triggered by the fact that their HR department asked me to edit a work-life balance website over a holiday weekend. So that's when you know you have to leave. That's just too offensive. So I'd already been talking to my friend in the diamond business, and she was going to keep her main business, her 25-year-old business, and this was going to be a fun thing for her to do on the side. But for me, I was going to devote myself full time to it. My business partner was the person in charge of sourcing and manufacturing, and I did design and public relations, marketing, and but tragically, she passed away in 2006, and I ended up starting over from scratch without the benefit of someone's experience. I just, luckily, some friends fortunately introduced me to a couple of goldsmiths, and from there I went on my own. So I've been my own business since 2006, and those first couple years were awesome, and gold prices were really low, so that was awesome for my customers too. And then the big financial crash of 2008 came, and interestingly, that was triggered, if some of you remember, by the bankruptcy of my old employer, Lehman Brothers. But, you know, for me, you knock me down 7 times and I get up 8 times, so I've kept going, and now I have my right-hand woman, who's Erin, who's behind the camera. I've had goldsmiths I've worked with for 12 years now. I've worked with my graphic designer, Lori, hey Lori, probably about 10 years, and our developer, Avanti. So it's even though I have one full-time employee, it feels like a nice little company around me, and it's nice. It's stressful, but it's nice. I do like to give this advice because people always want advice when they're going into business for themselves, or they're sometimes commenting on your business, and a lot of people say, as long as it's your dream, it's your passion, you'll succeed. And that actually, I hate to break it to you, but it's not true. It might help you succeed. It might also help you keep going through things where maybe you should call a halt to it. You have to go with your gut and your instincts, but you have to know that it doesn't make it easy. It's not like, oh, I can't believe they pay me for doing this. Work is work. I always say they call it work instead of rainbows and unicorns flying out of my ass for a good reason. So just know that. Know you've got to be tough no matter what business you're in. If it seems glamorous on the outside, it's probably not that glamorous on the inside. And it can still be very rewarding though, but you got to be made of steel, not 24 karat gold, because that is too soft. There are a bunch of links below this video where you can find some of my previous blog posts with other business advice or business commentary. And don't forget to click the subscribe button and subscribe to this channel.